A form tool is relatively simple to create within SOLIDWORKS using the forming tool feature. First, I'll go into the design library and open up one of these form tools. And you can see there's no excess on this part. It's simply the entire forming tool as a single part. And I'll go ahead and go through the steps in making this tool. So first, this starts out with an oversized flat plate, and then we build the geometry on it that we want and modify it also however we want. And typically these are built on a flat face because we need a face to fill it into for that forming tool. Then we want to cut away any excess that's not going to be part of the tool, otherwise SOLIDWORKS will try to use the rest of the plate to form our feature. And then the old style of setting up a forming tool was creating an orientation sketch. But now we have this forming tool option, so we'll go ahead and use that. So I'll create a new part and just draw up a sketch of a rectangle on the top plane. And I'll just give this dimensions. And these aren't too important as long as the tool fits within this, as well as the fillet that goes with the tool. So now I'll create a sketch on this face, and I'll just use the polygon tool to create a hex, and then give it a dimension, and just make these vertical. From there I'll create an extrusion, and then maybe give it some draft. And then we can fill it out any edges that we want to fill it. In this case I'll go ahead and select all of these edges to create those fillets and just apply that. Lastly, before creating the form tool, we want to cut away the base. So we'll just create a sketch and an extruded cut and just do it through all. And you can also do that pretty simply by reusing the initial sketch and creating an extruded cut up to that surface as well. But now we have the geometry we want for our form tool, and so we can go ahead and click on the forming tool option, choose the face to stop on, which is going to be this back face, and then we can also choose faces to remove. For the time being, I'll go ahead and leave that option blank, and we'll go ahead and save this out into one of those forming tools folders. In this case, I've created a custom folder for all my custom forming tools. Now I can go ahead and drag this in and change the options just like any other forming tool and add it in. I can also come back in, and if I want to remove out a few faces, I can do that as well. You'll see that the remove faces are just indicated in red, and the form tool faces are all in yellow, as well as the stopping face, which is in green. Now if I quickly edit the feature and exit out, those faces will update and be removed out. And we can remove any of the faces that we want just by selecting those out in the options. Lastly, we can also create configurations to select from. And with this we could change the dimension of our hex or any of the other dimensions. In this case I'll just choose to make this, say, 3/4 of an inch for this configuration. And if we edit this form tool and any of these faces, this is going to apply to all the configurations. So if you wanted to create a separate form tool that doesn't remove these faces, you can create that as a separate part. So now if I come in and drag in that hex, I can choose between the two options.